I'm Tommie Lee, and this is the Scam of the Week. The president and CEO of your Better Business Bureau serving Northern Indiana, Jan Diaz, is joining us. Jan, always a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
Good. Good morning, Tommie. It's always a pleasure as well.
So what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about employment scams, and they're the second riskiest scam in 2024, and that's what's showing at our BBB Scam Tracker Risk Report. So BBB has received thousands of Scam Tracker reports about fraudulent job postings, and people are losing on average about $1,500 with this particular scam. And so with more people searching for remote work, this is the type of scam that's really spreading fast.
And that's a lot of money. And I bet that these scams look pretty legitimate when they show up, right?
Absolutely. So these scams seem totally legit. They look real. They sound real. They even feel real. So scammers are using polished emails and official sounding interview processes and tempting offers for flexible work from home jobs. So in fact, a recent BBB survey found that over 40% of people who were scammed wanted to believe the job was real because they were eager to work from home. But in the end, they ended up with no job, no paycheck, and it was just a financial headache.
And we don't need any more of those. So scammers are baiting people with dream jobs that don't actually exist?
Yes. So the scammers promise high salaries, remote work, an easy hiring process to get people hooked. And before the job seeker realizes what's happening, they've handed over money, personal information, or even access to their bank account.
Especially since we're talking employment, so Social Security number comes up, and that just opens up a whole can of worms. All right, let's break this down. How does this scam actually work?
Yeah, great question. So it usually starts in one of two ways. A person applying for a job online through a reputable job seeking site, or they see a remote job listing on social media and they respond through the link in the post. So a few days or even weeks later, they'll receive a text message or email asking if they're still interested in the position, or they'll receive a similar text at the same company for another position. So since that job seeker has made their contact information available when they applied, the message doesn't seem unusual because job seekers are looking and posting their resumes all over the place.
So it all seems pretty normal on the surface, but where do things start to get suspicious?
Yes, well, the red flags start appearing when it's time for the interview. So instead of a phone call or video chat, the so-called employer asks you to download a messaging app to conduct the interview over a text message.
So that is a huge red flag. No legitimate employer is going to hire somebody without even talking to them. And communicating through text doesn't count. That's not talking. Just like you don't break up with somebody over text, you don't get a job over text.
That's right. And that's not all with this type of scam. After the interviewee answers a few text-based questions, they are suddenly offered the job. There have not been any second interviews. There's not been any verification. It's just an instant employment approval with great pay and benefits. And so they might even get a convincing offer letter to make the job offer and the employer seem credible. And then the scam can take a few different turns. The person is either asked for their banking details right away, and the scammer claims that they need it for direct deposit. Mm-hmm. And so just as a side note, if someone pressures you to provide this information immediately, claiming the job offer is time sensitive, definitely walk away. And then another way that this scam turns out is they will send the interviewee a check in order to purchase work from home equipment, but the check is fake.
So if somebody deposits that fake check, they spend the money, then what happens?
Yeah, so if they deposit the check, the bank eventually receives notification that the check is fake, and now that individual who made the deposit is responsible for the entire check amount. So this is called an overpayment scam, where scammers send a fake check with extra funds, ask you to send back the excess amount, and by the time the check bounces, the scammer has disappeared with your money. So legitimate employers will not send you a check before you've done any of the work.
And that can create a real nightmare. So how do people protect themselves from employment scams?
Yeah, good question. So there are a few things that you can do to protect yourself. First, do your research. If someone reaches out about a job, look them up first and go to the company's official website and contact them directly from the numbers on the website to confirm the job is even real. And don't click on any link or phone number that's being sent via text. Don't click on any links. Don't call any phone numbers that are sent via text, but just be careful to make sure that the numbers you're calling are the company's official website phone number.
Excellent bit of advice. It makes total sense. But what if they pressure you for personal information, banking info, before you even start the job.
Yeah, so make sure to guard your personal information. Never give sensitive info to anyone you aren't sure that you can trust, that you haven't researched first. A legitimate employer will not ask for banking details or social security numbers before hiring you. And then a real employer will never pay you upfront and ask for money back.
Exactly. Good to know. So bottom line, if a job seems too good to be true,
it probably is.
Right.
And if you get a job offer without a real interview and pay and benefits sound too good to be true, that's a huge red flag. And we tell folks, just trust your gut. And if you've encountered an employment scam, whether you've lost money or not, you should report it to BBB Scam Tracker at bbb.org/scam tracker. You can also report it to the Federal Trade Commission at reportfraud.ftc.gov. And if the scammer was pretending to be from a real company, report it to that company directly. The company needs to know that their business is being used in a scam.
Absolutely. That's an important step, too. That's one of the many important tools that people tend to forget when it comes to all of us fighting back against these fraudsters. Great advice, Jan. Stay sharp, everybody. Do your homework. Do your research. Don't let these scammers steal your time or your money. And tune in again next week for the Scam of the Week with Jan Diaz from the Better Business Bureau of Northern Indiana. Jan, we appreciate you, my dear, and we'll talk again next week.
Sounds great, Tommie. Looking forward to it.
Podcasts by Federated Media.